Hey, welcome, buddy. Slight change of plans. Unfortunately, Courtney from the Atheist Edge can't make it today. Something has come up. I also tried to get Jim from the Atheist Edge, but he is on the road. So, unfortunately, won't be an Atheist Edge day today. They are a podcast and a YouTube channel that I actually like. They're composed of Jim, Courtney, and TJ. And I will have them on again, and I will be talking to them at some point in the future, but it just won't be today. So I still wanted to have a quick hangout. I know we have a show coming up today on the Non Sequitur Show at 5 o'clock my time, which is Pacific, 8 o'clock Eastern on the Mind Experience, which is going to be interesting to say the least. We have somebody coming on that's basically a heliocentric, I think he's a flat earther. I know he definitely is a heliocentric advocate, and he thinks the moon landing was hoaxed. And he's going to be trying to heal Caitlin Chloe, from just healing energy through the mind over Skype. And we're going to be there to witness that. So that should be entertaining. And then tomorrow we've got David Smalley, who has a podcast, Dogma Debate, and he'll be talking to Christian anarchists on the problem of evil. I'm guessing the evidential problem of evil, not the logical problem of evil. And I don't know how in depth they're going to get on it. Probably not very, which is okay, I guess. And the Non Sequitur Show doesn't have really in-depth things on these topics, but we probably will have eventually have an after show, and we'll kind of get more into the problem of evil, because I talked about that the other day, the logical version. I like to talk about the evidential, but it requires a lot more groundwork to cover, I think, for the evidential. But anyways, let's see. On Saturday, Kyle is going to be on the Heathen Hour podcast at 8:30 Eastern, and then on Sunday, a show that I'm really looking forward to is Doubt a Virtue. And that's going to be with myself, Ozzy Mandius Ramses II, Kyle Curtis, and Beautiful Doubt. And I'm really looking forward to that because, as you guys may know, I advocate that the position that doubt is not a virtue. I posted it on the Great Debate Community G+, and I've also posted it on my Facebook page as to why I pretty staunchly deny doubt as a virtue. So that's kind of the itinerary for the next week or so. I mean, if you guys want a little bit more, you can always go to www.nonsexshow.com/schedule. Memorial Day, no show. And then we got some other stuff coming up later on that week. So if you got any questions about the Non Sequitur Show or myself, or stuff you just haven't been able to ask, because I mean, we've kind of been doing things on my channel, the Great Big Community channel, as well as the Non Sequitur Show. So it's a hodgepodge of things. So I figured now would be a good time just to have an hour or so just to ask what you want and see if I can answer. But I do have a disclaimer: answers have a high probability of being wrong, so don't trust me for shit. Just take what I say for a grain of salt, and I'm probably more than likely not totally correct on it, but it's a ballpark thing. So let's see here. I'll just start here. William Dowling, when's the next debate roulette? Probably first week of June. We are booked all next week. If you guys want to know the quick rundown, we have something on the Trader's Coin, Judas, Brutus, and Change. We've got Allah on the Watchtower again. We've got Baggy Bryson come back on. We love her. We've got a Spanking Children, okay. And then we actually got Greater Sapien. He'll be on Saturday, the 2nd, January, June 2nd. So yeah, that's going to be awesome. Greater Sapien has some really good videos. So it won't be until after that. Let's see what else we got. I got to scroll back here. So many questions. The problem of mounting lasers on sharks. They're not waterproof. Maybe you got to waterproof them. Maybe that help. Am I existing today? I've always existed. I don't know anybody who said I don't exist. Kyle keeps telling me there are people that actually have said they believe that I don't exist. I have not met them. So if you actually believe that I don't exist, please let me know, because everyone I've always met either believes that I exist or does not believe that I exist, but they don't believe that I don't exist, if that makes sense to you all. There's a difference between saying I do not believe you exist as opposed to I believe you do not exist. Completely different things. So if anybody out there that doesn't believe that I exist, let me know. Steve, is there any chance we'll see a show with Pine Creek? Yes. I think we have Pine Creek. I'm going to guess first week of June, maybe second, somewhere in the ballpark. Yes, Pine Creek's coming up. Matter of fact, I just watched a street epistemology video that was live with Anthony Magnabosco and Dr. What's his name? He's a biochemist. Dr. Wood, I think his name is. I could be wrong on that. Again, disclaimer, answer's probably wrong. And they even recognized that the Pine Creek will be on the non sequitur show, and they shouted us out. So that was pretty nice. Let's see here. Doubt is maybe not a virtue, but neither is blind belief. Well, yes, of course. Let's see here. I'm trying to catch up, so I'm not down at the bottom of the chat yet. Steve, would you debate G-Man, and why does Dragon make so much videos about G-Man? I will not debate G-Man. I want nothing to do with G-Man. I've said that several months ago. I made it very clear that he's a death peddler and that he needs to apologize to Mel, the Melody. Until those things happen, I really avoid him. One, I think it's disgusting that he puts forth a narrative that you can use these alternative things to cure cancer. I think it's dangerous, and I think it's beyond the scope of what we have on the internet here. When you're putting forth information that actually can cause that much harm, I don't want you around personally. And I think it needs to be addressed. Now, that's just personally me. Other people, again, I don't give a shit, right? But I've always said that a month ago that, or no, it's been like 2 months ago, that I really don't want much to do with him because of that. And the fact that I think Mel the Scientist is a huge thing. And why Drag makes videos, because Drag's good at making videos against G-Man. I mean, let's be honest here. I mean, I again, there's so many of them, and that's all that seems to be on that channel. But, you know, he can tear G-Man apart, and he enjoys it. Go for it. It doesn't matter to me. I don't do any of those types of videos any longer. So somebody's, I guess, got to. Let's see here. Is faith a virtue? No, faith is not a virtue. And I'll get into the virtue thing if you want, but just no, it's not a virtue. I'll doubt whatever you say, Steve. Frozen Sea, you're smart. Good choice. I would expect that to be the case. Not a virtue, but yeah, it's me. Doubt me. Martian Emperor, we need Arn to versus Kent part 2. Yeah, we do, but unfortunately, that'll never happen. At least not on the any of our channels, because Kent, I think, really got butthurt that he didn't get quote equal time, and the fact that because he wasn't allowed to gish Callop, he got just obliterated, and he knows it. So Crazy Jesse, Steve, you always existed. Are you God? No, I didn't always exist. I do think that our existence starts at some point along the lines of conception to the embryo stage. At some point, you have to say we begin to exist. I just don't think there's a sharp line of demarcation, unless you want to say at the moment of insemination. Okay, fair, fine, fair enough. Let's see here. Let's see. I never knew Kent was so obsessed by SpongeBob. Yeah, I think SpongeBob somehow refutes evolution. I don't know. Did G-Man ever apologize to Jade for using a blowhorn? Nope. He has not, and I don't think he ever will. And so that's another thing he needs to actually apologize for. And other people have called him out on that, not just, you know, our group. His own people have said, G-Man, that was some shitty thing to do, and you should apologize, because he did know that she had hearing problems. And, you know, you can disagree with Jade all you want, and you can even have, you know, these opinions about her that I think are unfounded, of course, but you don't do something that causes physical harm. Matter of fact, I remember one time I was in, I think it was a Discord, and somebody had came in and just started screaming, and my ear hurt for days. I mean, maybe even a week or so. It was painful. So I know what she probably went through, because she has it continually. So yeah, I don't like causing people pain like that. I think that if you go out of your way to do that, you're just a fucking asshole. Okay, next question here. I'm trying to get down to the bottom here, guys. I mean, if I skipped anybody, I don't mean to. At Steve, any chance of having Dave Ike and Egyptologist on NS? He's got 1.4 million subs and could be a sub booster. I know who Dave Ike is, or Ike. He used to be on AM Coast to Coast. Possible. I mean, I'd reach out to him. I think that a lot of them are just fringe people, to say the least. But Maggie Bryson, I'm sure, would be fine with that. And, you know, and I don't really reach out to people on the number of subs they have. Matter of fact, the small channels I kind of reach out to more. And there's 2 reasons for that, and follow my reasoning on that. One, the small channels generally are more likely to want to be on another show, generally speaking, but not always. But the big names are now coming around. We don't get turned down very often. And second of all, I like dealing with the newer people. I like getting fresh voices that we haven't heard before. So, but anyways, you see me looking over here. I got 2 monitors. The webcam's over here, and I'm actually reading and then looking. So that's why. The Geek Room Gaming, how much do you giggity? Oh, I giggity a lot. Don't we all giggity a lot? You don't giggity often? Martian Emperor Steve, we had to watch Kent's videos in school. Fuck, shit. By the way, you don't use caps. I can see you, buddy. And that is true though. I've actually heard that in some schools they have actually used Kent's videos. And if you guys may not know this, and again, I'm trying to get down to the bottom of the live chat, so I paused it. In Arizona right now, they have a measure where they're trying to change evolution in the textbooks to change over time. And they're trying to put in theory of evolution wherever possible to put forth this narrative that is only a theory. And the superintendent of schools, her name is Diane something or other. She has a form that you can send her a message if you live in Arizona. And I guess anybody could do it, but it asks, you know, where you live in Arizona, Providence, what is it called? What do they call them in Arizona? I don't know. County, I guess. Yeah, whatever county you live in, Providence. I'm thinking of Canada. And, you know, you can tell her what you think of it because she's completely lost her mind. I think this is a perfect example of the encroachment of religion in school and the fact that she is using her position of a person who's very naive in the topic of biology, especially evolutionary biology, to try to change the curriculum for the students. So if you haven't heard about that yet, go check it out. So I know, let's see, Bill Ludlow and Dr. Herman Mays are making a stink about it as well because I pointed it out to them. Questions. Have you ever debated a psychic? Would you? Yes and no. I don't think I've ever formally debated a psychic. Would I? Probably. I don't know. I don't believe in psychics. I've done cold reading. I've done what's called chiromancy, which is palm reading. And the entire time I'm doing it, it's bullshit. And yet I do tell them that it's bullshit. I've never tried to convince somebody that I had a power that I didn't have. But it is something that's fun to do in bars, and it's a good way to beat chicks. But you even tell them, look, this is completely hogwash. But I swear to you, you'd be surprised how people say, you know, I believe that there's something to this as far as what you're doing, but I got to tell you, you probably do have a latent psychic ability you're not aware of. And I'm just like facepalm. I'm like, no, I don't. Okay, it's just a trick. It's just cold reading. Anybody can learn it. Ghost Man, Steve, I believe you exist. Thank you. That means a lot to me. I'm having this existential crisis because people don't believe I exist. And I got to tell you, people, if you don't believe I exist, you need to go look at epistemology a little bit. It's not going to fly with me that you think certain things like you can't believe that I exist. I think you're giving way too much to the theist when you say I'm not even going to use the word belief, because there's a whole realm of belief, things in epistemology and even logic, the how we form our beliefs, the reasoning of beliefs, the dostastic logic. So, okay, let's see here. I'm trying to get through all this. Iron Chariter. Hi, Steve. Can you get this guy Santos Bonici on? He's like allegedly Dave. Possibly. I don't know who he is, but give me the information. Sure. Doorknob Head, please don't read my palms. It would be so embarrassing. That's half the fun. Matter of fact, on a cold or even warm read, you can pick up a lot of information, and people don't know where you get information from, right? They don't know the tricks. And you'd be surprised what you can draw from a lot. Geek Room Gaming, I'm agnostic to Steve existing. Well, I exist. You pick a wrong thing to be agnostic on. Okay, Steve, what happened to guitar lessons? Mrs. D, good question. You know, it's just we haven't got around to it yet. I wanted to do things on these, like the problem of evil, because there was an argument coming up. I wanted to do something on virtue ethics because that's coming up. I wanted to do something on the topics, and I think the music stuff is just kind of a sideline. But I will be doing it, Mrs. D. I want to have a very simple thing with Scott from Positively Godless and a few other people, and just basically go over chords, not so much scales, because that's a whole different ballgame. But I mean, people just, if they want to learn what the circle of fifths is, why the circle of fifths is the way it is, how it's derived, what a sharp, flat, and maybe we might get into some things like harmonic and melodic scales. I would be fascinated by that. I've been reviewing it a little bit, and maybe we can have a discussion on that. So I haven't forgotten yet, but it just hasn't come about yet. I wouldn't call them guitar lessons, by the way, Mr. D. I don't play guitar well enough to give lessons. I know a little about theory. Let's see. The cake is a lie, Andrew. No, I have no spoilers. Okay, I'm only like level 15 on the first one, so you know I found out the cake's a lie. Now I'm like, well, shit. Why the hell am I even trying in this game anymore? Portals 1. I have Portals 1 and 2. The shirt nicely matches your background. Kyle's influence, Apologia. Because I guess he's gay. He's rubbing off on me. Is that what it is, Paul? That I'm getting a fashion sense. No, I just happen to really love this shirt. It's comfortable. It's easy to get on. It's flannel. I think it looks good with my hair. So, Pufflepuffapus 360. Have you ever wondered? Have you ever had the chance to confront anyone from the Hoven camp about pushing apricot seeds? No, not really. Honestly, no. Which is unfortunate. I kind of wish that I had. I find that the whole apricot seed and the B17 thing is probably one of the worst things out there. Now, do I think that is a high chance that people are going to die from eating apricot seeds? No. Do I think that a lot of people might die from not getting the treatment that they actually need? Possibly. But what I think the biggest issue I have with it is that things like that lead to other false beliefs. And so when you start off with this narrative that you can somehow eat apricot seeds and get cured of cancer, it puts this thing against science, and it's a narrative that they're trying to push. And the people in Arizona are trying to do the exact same thing, that science doesn't know everything and science is bad. And the first part is true. Science doesn't know everything. But this notion that science is bad and it's just trying to get rid of God, that shit's got to stop, because it's just absolutely ridiculous. And I think that's what we all fight against. So, let's see. Steve is real. No one who is not real could be this awesome. The Bears King. Thank you. By the way, I got to tell you, and I just talked to Kyle earlier today about this. We have never seen this much outpouring of just niceties for any channel before. Everywhere I go, I'm in the live feed, somebody stops almost immediately and says, hey, Steve's in the live feed, we love your show. Or just people in the live feed say, Steve, the Non Sequitur show is been doing really awesome. That means an awful lot. I've never had that kind of a praise before. I mean, I'm trying to handle it pretty well, but it's very humbling. I like the fact that the people recognize the Non Sequitur show is a good show. We try to have good content. We have great dialogue, and it's entertaining. That's the whole point. It's entertaining, and people listen and they go, damn, that was fun to listen to. That's what I'm looking for. And I think that people do that. So, and I think they do on my channel as well, for the most part, when we have, something interesting to talk about, which isn't this episode, but whatever. I tried. I was going to have Courtney on. She's a lot prettier than me, a lot smarter than me, and a lot nicer than me. And I really been trying to get her on, because I had a conversation with her on Atheist Edge, and it was great. I just thought the world of her. I think she's amazing. So I'll get her on, though. Geo Striber, you haven't played through all of it yet. No, I haven't yet. I know. I'm working on it, dude. I still haven't finished Witcher 3. I don't, as you guys know, I don't sit for very long. So for me to sit for 2 hours doing a show and then want to play a game is pretty rare. And I have to sit for after shows sometimes. So, okay. Let's see here. What is the meaning of life? 42. Come on, we all know that. Yeah. Where's Kyle? Kyle is, well, I think he's at work. I don't know. He's chilling. I talk to him throughout the day, every day. But I was supposed to do this with Courtney. But if he wants to come in and answer questions, he's more than welcome to. Do you think biological transhumanism is achievable? To some degree. Look, we all know that transhumanism is on its way. We all know that we are going to have body parts replaced. Think about it. We could have the heart replaced. We can have maybe fake lungs. We can have maybe kidneys replaced one day. Most of our body parts can be replaced. The only thing that seems to be necessity is the brain. And I think the brain is the one thing that we possess, and other species do as well, that allows us to perceive the universe. I mean, other creatures can sense the universe, but the brain allows us to perceive and understand it. And I think that's something that's marvelous. Because, I mean, you guys may know the anthropic principle, right? The strong anthropic principle is that the universe was kind of created for us, and that without sapient life, the universe would have no purpose per se. The universe was such that it was designed to have sapient life. And this weak anthropic principle is basically the universe exists in a way that the things in the universe can observe it. And I subscribe to that. I think that we do observe the universe in a way that makes the universe such the conditions are that we can observe it. I mean, it seems kind of almost like a tautology at that point. But I think we can do that because of the brain. Now, the philosophy of the brain is so complicated, it's ridiculous. I can't even begin to get into that field. I think philosophy of the mind is way more complicated than philosophy of religion or philosophy in general, even analytical philosophy or practical philosophy. Okay, let's see here. Carl Furstenberg, harmonic contradictions in the Bible from an agnostic science point of view. Yeah, that'd be interesting. Agnosticism, it doesn't really mean much to the Bible. Agnosticism just basically is your everyday atheist who says, I don't believe that God exists, but I don't, assert that he doesn't exist, or I don't have a belief that he doesn't exist, or God doesn't exist. And that's generally somewhat what an agnostic is, but it really is more, the agnostic's just not giving a position on the proposition. That's all. Scott Cosi, Steve, scientists successfully transferring memories between snails recently. That might be true. Look at, there's been experiments with flatworms where they induce some kind of stimuli to the flatworm. They then behead the flatworm, and the flatworm grows back a new one and has remembrance of the stimuli somehow. So, I mean, I think memories are stored chemically or in engrams, or whatever, not engrams. I guess that's the social Scientology shit. But somehow it's somehow mixture of chemicals and neurology. But I know nothing about the neurology of the brain. Absolutely freaking nothing. I mean, that's one thing that I could probably say even true empiricism knows more than me about. I don't bother to know anything about neurology. Nothing I've ever had interest in. Don't know shit about it. So, but I do think that, of course, it is chemically related. I think that memories are chemically related. I think that's kind of standard. So if we could figure out how to basically emulate the exact conditions to some other substrate, I don't see why you couldn't transfer a memory. Let's see here. Average Joe, when are we going to do another nuclear talk? I don't know. What else is going to talk? I mean, we kind of give a primer on that. I mean, I would rather do something on Vesper theory or orbital hybridization. I find would be interesting. I've got a couple different biochemists that might be interested in that. Let's see here. But again, if you guys want to have specific topics, let me know. I will find either an expert to come in, and we'll have a PPT like we did with Landon Curtin-Knoll and Average Joe, or we'll just kind of wing it. I think we do pretty good winging it. The logical problem of evil, I didn't have a presentation, just kind of winging it. Abate Eulogy, on that question, what does Ronnie know more than you? Well, since I really know nothing about neurology, pretty much everybody knows more than me. I just not a field I have an interest in. I don't know. I know axon. You have a dendrite. That's it. I mean, what? I know a little bit about maybe the sodium gates. I remember things about gating potentials and what are they? Voltage-induced gates. Is that what it's called? I see. I haven't looked anything up. Let's see here. Yeah, don't come to me about neurology. Floyd FP, look at the max headroom simulation that someone is trying to pass as real human. I know. I got this down to an art form. I could really pass for a real person. Maybe. Titleist Moneymaker, can you have a discussion on ego in the church and the love of money? Yes, I could actually. And I would like to do something on prosperity wealth. I think prosperity wealth is just mind-bogglingly stupid. I think that the people who advocate for it are con men. I think that things like Godonomics and miracle spring water and all that stuff is just bogus bullshit. And when I see people like Cleflo Dollar and who's a real smiley guy? I can't stand him. Oh my god, the guy that does prosperity gospel. He has that face you just want to punch and you don't know why. What the hell is his name? As you can tell, I didn't prepare for this particular episode. Somebody tell me the guy's name. He has a prosperity gospel. He has a big church. He has a like perfect hair and that shit-eating smile. Joel Osteen. Thank you. Well, he said Clayton says Joel O, but yeah, Joel's that dude. Come on, admit it. Don't you just want to? And I'm not advocating violence, but don't you just want to hit him for some reason? Am I the only one that just wants to hit him? But let me scroll back a little bit here. Is today's guest supposed to be the one Trump the craziness on Pissman? Yeah. Yes. The one today, I don't know if he's gonna be crazier than Pissman, but he thinks he can heal over Skype. Okay. And I gotta tell you, I love the thumb for it. Because it has Caitlin Chloe on the left-hand side and has this guy on the right, and she has the perfect look of just confused state of what the fuck. And I'm like, that's me. I'm like, you're gonna do what? You're gonna heal over Skype. Okay. Yeah, not buying it. And then they always do this. Well, you got to believe that you could be healed over Skype. Okay, I have two problems with that. One, as a Dostoevsky involuntarist, we don't choose our beliefs, as you guys may know by now. Most of us have decided we don't choose our beliefs. And two, if I believe that you can, then I also fall prey to some kind of a psychosomatic type thing, right? And so how am I going to determine that it's actually you doing it rather than myself? And I'm not talking about like a major healing, but something that the brain and the mind can regulate. I mean, I think that maybe we might have a potential to eliminate our own pain. I think if pain is an emotion, then we can actually figure out eventually how to stop pain. That is feasible, or even maybe control our body temperature in some ways. That's feasible. But if they're going to say that, oh, I cut myself today earlier, right? You can't see it, but I cut myself earlier. If he thinks I can send healing rays over Skype to heal me, yeah, I'm not buying that. And by the way, if that was the case, then we should be able to detect those rays and quantify them and say, okay, this is the type of ray it is. This is what it's comprised of, or this is how you measure it. This is the frequency. You have to have some kind of empirical assessment to make that claim valid. Would you agree? Okay, let's go through here. It's like Cliff still on Joel Osteen, yeah. Could you get Richard Dawkins on? No. Richard Dawkins only does things for his foundational things, and I'm not a big fan of Richard Dawkins. Just not at all. But whatever. Carl, so you imply that people who are in pain are just emotional? No, not at all. But pain is a chemical thing, and emotions are chemical as well. And if you look into what is it called? Ephemerology, is that how to pronounce it? But if you look into the psychology of the mind, I was just reading about this the other day, that pain could be possibly attributed to various emotional states, because you have what's called source physicalism, where a physical thing must exist before a mental state, for such as cognition or even consciousness, right? These are emergent things out of a physical state. And so people that are in pain, the pain might be able to be controlled by the consciousness on the physical rather than the physical on the conscious. Maybe. I know it has to do with what's called non-reductive physicalism and reductive physicalism. Nothing that I'm that familiar with. So maybe somebody else could kind of like talk about that. Don't cut yourself, Steve. Yes, it's not virtuous to cut yourself. I'm not a cutter. It was an accident. It was a knife I was cleaning. I'm not a cutter. You want to see my arms? They're clean, man. No, I don't even have track marks. Martin's like Bob Barker. No, I don't want to punch Bob Barker. What's about Bob Barker? Are you gonna have Frank Turk on sometime? Floyd Pete asks. FP asks. Yeah, supposedly. We've actually talked to Frank a few times, but he's kind of one of those pretty princesses, I guess. And so, trying to arrange for him to get on has been rough. He was supposed to come on a long time ago. Wayne Fillmore had arranged for that, and that fell through. So, but Drake Alexander, hey buddy, he asked anti-vaxxer episode. Yes, we are definitely gonna have an anti-vaxxer episode. We just don't know when. I've been wanting to get Mary Toko, Kent's ex-wife. I think that'd be optimal, but unfortunately, she's basically not replied to Kyle or myself. So if you have a connection to Mary, hook us up. She'll be the perfect anti-vaxxer. You guys need to make an R and Raw versus Mr. Intelligent Design. I think they've already talked, haven't they? Did they? I'm pretty sure that they have. It's hard to tell. I know that Mr. Intelligent Design has talked to Kent. That went over well. Kent actually left. He actually felt that he was too crazy for him. Yeah. We're not going to get William Lane Craig. Let's see here. Seraph64, did you ever got a dentist jiggle your nerves with poor anesthetics? The pain is more electrical impulses than chemical. Yeah, well, the electrical impulses induce something in the brain that's a chemical of some kind. I don't know shit about neurology, so I'm just throwing this out there. Don't quote me on any of this stuff. Like I said, I've already advocated that probably even Ronnie knows more about this shit than I do. So, but I think that there's got to be some kind of chemical relationship, because even electrical impulses induce something, right? It produces the somewhere along the lines a chemical is produced, is it not? Okay, so how fringe is too fringy? Well, we may never know. We're going to push that envelope, though. But fuck you, need help. Von Helton and Mr. ID debate on some topic. Look, I was going to have Von Helton on. I was going to have a nice conversation with Shannon, and that got shit on left and right by people. And they said, "Well, we don't want to give Von Helton any quarter because of his neglect with kids." And I think that's a legitimate thing, right? I mean, it's a reasonable objection to make. But his kids are older now. I don't think he even has them. And so I don't think it matters if you talk to somebody online if he's not neglecting his kids. We all know Von Helton could be a piece of shit. Let's be realistic here. I mean, I'm not a big fan of Von Helton. We get along. We have a rapport. I've never dicked him over. I've always kept my word to him. He respects me. He knows I'm not a fan of his, but I've never gone out of my way to screw him over. And that, to me, he appreciates. So maybe sometime in the future, yeah, I can get Von Helton. But it's up to you guys because, again, you guys were the ones bitching, don't get Von Helton. When I thought it'd be fine because I thought maybe Shannon could kind of help him, maybe, but you guys put the kibosh on that, not me. What happens if Steve pulls his own figure? I vanish. Ow, shit. Did you guys hear that? Holy fuck. By the way, popping your knuckles, you guys know that's only like gas bubbles in there, right? But anyways, see here. We need more debate roulette. Yeah, no, that's going to be a thing. Trust me. Even Kyle and I were surprised how well the debate roulette took off because we were expecting people to come in and just be nonsensical rambling of sorts. And the first people we had was Skylar and Jamie, and wow, were they on their game? And they had no time to prepare. And that shows how good of a debater somebody is when they go in cold and still maintains a decent argument. Of course, Skylar's had a lot of practice, and I may not agree with Skylar and everything, but he's a hell of a good interlocutor, to say the least. Let's see, like we don't agree on reductive morality. So, but anyways, Steve, why does IQ go over 399? No, I think it kind of tops out about 190 or something, or 200 something, isn't it? I mean, but even then, I find the IQ thing to be kind of arbitrary and capricious. There are different types of IQ things. And generally speaking, yes, there's a range. I mean, if you got a 200 IQ, you can't be an idiot. But people going around saying, I got 140 IQ, yeah, well, you're pretty goddamn dumb. So I don't know how that works out. I don't think it really translates too well. It's such a vague number. Because we all know people that think they're fucking high IQ that are not that bright. And we all know people that are probably not that bright, or excuse me, that are bright and have low IQs. So, you know, who the hell knows? Let's see here. Master debaters, yeah. Clockwork Rex, are you going to have another person in the vein of Bigfoot someday? Yeah, I think so. I don't see why not. I like that guy. I don't remember his name, but I really liked that discussion. Even still, I don't believe, I don't believe in Loch monsters. I don't believe in Bigfoot. But if a person come on and at least be coherent about it and have an entertaining show, I'm cool with that. So, oh, I think I've caught up on the chat. Wow, I've been racing to get through that. You guys are killing me. 116 people here, and so I mean, if I haven't got to your question, please forgive me. Ask it again. Have you tried drinking your pee yet? No, this is coffee with vanilla cream and a hint of brandy just for flavor. Oh my God, no, I'm not. I don't get that whole urine therapy. That's just got to be nasty. Alan Jankowski, Aaron Raw versus Quantum Eraser. Can you make it happen? Oh God. I would be okay with it, except for the fact that I don't want to give Quantum Eraser any notoriety. I don't want even him to be noticed. Quantum Eraser is one of the most duplicitous, dishonest, disingenuous, dumb fucks I've ever had the displeasure of running across. And yes, I like alliteration in that case. Okay, that's a good alliteration. He's just a horrible human being. I mean, he'll take people and it's completely change what they say. I mean, myself, Jade, Hogtie, and a few other people have watched his videos and seen in real time how he just completely is being dishonest. So I don't know why I would want to give him a stage. And obviously, he's easy to just demolish. I don't think we need Aaron Raw to demolish him. So, and by the way, I think Aaron would probably be going, what the hell is this guy even talking about? Because Quantum Eraser talks about the most abstract stuff as if it's real. And he talks about everything's a hypothesis. You can't have truth unless everything's a hypothesis. Well, no, that's not necessarily the case. Let's see here. Who we got here? Any chance you can get on Dr. I don't know who that is. Henley EL? Not sure who that is. Journalism versus Tornado Pelt, the fight of the century. Get your tickets now by Tornado Pelt. Yeah, no, Tornado. I'm sure you could do pretty well for the most part. You know a lot about anti-flat Earth, but why waste your time with journalism? Okay. Frozen Sea. Steve, has Landon addressed that computer code has a designer? DNA is a kind of code, therefore DNA needs a designer argument. I don't know. I can ask him. Here's my take on it. I don't think DNA is a code. If you want to run the argument that RNA synthesis is a code through the codon charts, fair, fine enough. Those are code charts. Okay, it's a code. Big deal. But I don't think a macromolecule like DNA is a code. Okay. But if you say there's a code and needs a coder, that's kind of a equivocation, because yes, something is designed, it needs a designer, but that designer could be teleonomically designed. It could be by nature. And I don't find any reason why that wouldn't be the same case to hold in biology or biochemistry. So if DNA is a code, again, it's not, but if it was, so what? It just means that teleonomically it's a code. So what? I don't understand how people relate this to some kind of intelligence any more than saying, hey, my hand was designed to grip something. Oh, okay, it was designed to grip, therefore God or intelligence? No, it's just the natural processes that over many successful reiterations has made it such that my hand is designed to grip something. I have an opposable thumb. Okay, so let's see here. Get James Randi. Yeah, no, we can get, believe it or not, we can get James Randi, but there's extenuating circumstances why we haven't gotten James yet. We have talked to James Randi, so maybe eventually, but not this season. Season 2 either. Well, maybe late season 2. I don't know. Possible. He's an ND that runs a medical practice that advocates that your child does not need vaccinations if they are a healthy immune system. No, that's just fucking stupid. First of all, we all know about herd immunity by now, and we all know that vaccines have obviously diminished these types of diseases over the last several decades. I mean, we can see how rubella and measles and mumps and all these different childhood diseases that used to be very prevalent have had a sharp decline. And ever since parents stopped, or a couple parents, stopped vaccinating their kids, they've on the rise again. I mean, we can see there's a correlation there. There's no question about it. I think these people that are advocating anti-vaccine things they just need to go to an island themselves, let them get infected with whatever the hell they want, and leave society alone. Because I'm so tired of people trying to take us backwards in time. I mean, we spend so much energy as a society to try to get forward, and so many brilliant minds have worked sometimes their entire lives for achievements and to advocate for better things for humanity. And these fucking morons who don't do shit for society just try to send us back to the Stone Age. I don't get it. I don't. That's my little rant for the day. Your hand was designed to hold a genetically modified banana, ergo genetically modified God. There you go. Yeah, God is intelligently designed by an intelligent agent. There you go. Let's see here. Arn destroyed Jism. Arn wins. Flaws victory. Yeah, I mean, of course. I mean, it's just journalism. I mean, the guy didn't know what pi was, for Pete's sake. I mean, he's just doing it for show, I think. Lamed student, I'd like to see cool hard logic on non-sec. Yeah, I've been trying to arrange that before. I got a couple people that know cool hard logic, and so maybe coming up, maybe end of June, possibly. We'll definitely try to arrange that again. So. What else we got here, people? The cake is pie. You guys really like that Portal game, huh? It's fun. Don't get me wrong, Portal's is fun. I'm dying to try Portal 2, but I haven't made it past level, I think, 15 yet in Portal 1, and it seems to be getting exponentially more difficult. And at my age, I don't have the reflexes like I used to have. So, because you got to click here, move here, jump here. Things are moving around here. You got, I mean, the spatial relationship is not bad. I'm not an idiot, so I can kind of do the spatial relationships in my head. My only issue with Portals is the jumping on things at the exact time. Why I'm not a great gamer any longer. At 48, you tend to lose the fine motor control like I had when I was PvPing with World of Warcraft. Yeah, I heard Portal 2 is awesome. So, and I know the cake's a lie. Okay, so what other questions you got? Just to let you guys know, today, of course, we're going to have the show 5 o'clock East or 5 o'clock Pacific time, 8 o'clock Eastern, and it's 3 o'clock my time coming up here. So I'll have this open for a little while longer. I'm kind of enjoying this. Every so often, I want to have this like Q&A where I just answer you guys' questions, and I've really been enjoying just bringing in like 3 or 4 people at a time. I know we've had in the past these big old hangouts, and a lot of people gave me some really good advice. And they said, look, you should try having smaller hangouts with smaller people. Well, I guess not smaller people, but smaller group hangouts. And I agree with that. I thought that myself, yeah, you might be right. And I tried it out, and sure enough, I found it to be better. So those people that are advocating for that, you guys were right on that. And I've taken that advice. Very, very good. Because look, when you have 10 people, it's very hard to have in-depth conversation. They're fine for like an open hangout sometimes, like the after show for the Aaron Raw and Ken Hovind on the Great Debate Community channel. That would have been completely different if we didn't have 10 people. That had to have 10 people. That was epic. I am not going to even try to front. That was my favorite or funniest hangout I've ever seen in my life, without question. And I've been in a lot of hangouts, but that was my number one. If you guys can tell me a funnier hangout that you've been in or that you've watched in any recent history that was as funny as Aaron and G-Man, please, I'll go watch it. Okay, so the Bigfoot guy, Trevor Lund, RE, the Bigfoot guy, etc. Absent evidence. How do we judge the validity of someone's claims, especially when they encompass what they say happened, not what just they believe? Well, again, I mean, I believe these people have experiences, right? I think that he did have an experience, but he also had a lot of drugs in his system in the past, he said. So when a person says, yeah, I was camping and I heard a noise, okay, you probably did. I believe that. If you say, I heard a noise and, I saw this 10-foot Bigfoot creature levitate from the sky and try to eat my face. Yeah, probably not going to believe that. That I do need a little more evidence for. So, okay, let me scroll back here. I'm sure I missed some of this stuff. Steve, scroll up. What am I scrolling up here? Analogies are not proofs. That's true. But, analogies are good training things, right? If you're going to take a holistic approach to something and you want to explain something completely in a way they understand, I don't think analogies are that bad. So it's a kind of a heuristic approach, right? A heuristic approach would be not quite the way it is, but it's good enough to explain. And I have nothing wrong with somebody doing a heuristic type explanation or analogy, if it makes sense, right? I mean, when people use analogies that don't make sense, it's like, why are you using that analogy? I mean, we see Ronnie do it all the time with this fucking turbine thing, dude. I know that they use the word turbine in some natural science thing or whatever, and that's fine. It's just an analogy, but you're taking it to an extreme, and that's why I think that's a very bad analogy. And even though a scientific periodical uses the term turbine, I think they're wrong for doing so. Just because it's in a science magazine does not make it right. A turbine literally is something that converts fluid energy to mechanical energy, and there's nothing about ATP mayonnaise that does that. And so that's why I think it's a very horrible analogy. If you want to use the word motor, different story. Yes, it's a motor. Yeah, ATP synthase is a freaking motor. It's a proton motor. Fine. But that's not his argument. And I don't know why he doesn't call it a motor. And he has to call it a turbine when it's not. So, let's see here. Dennis, just want to thank you, Steve, for taking a bit more of the high road with your channels and projects. The old scene among the people that go to JD Kane's Hangouts is really devolved, and that's whatever. I mean, look, JD does his own thing. I've never had any bad words to say about JD. He runs his Talking Shit Tuesday. You know what you're getting in for. Let him do his thing. It doesn't faze me one or another. People can watch whatever. I'm very happy. The fact there's multiple different things out there people can watch. It's the big internet. I'm doing my own thing. I stay away from the things I don't want to deal with. They stay away from the things that I don't want to deal with. It's a win-win. So yeah, I mean, I honestly know I can't get to the point where I say that TST is not part of the community of somehow, because obviously they're influential part of the Great Debate community, and as a whole people watch that stuff. Fine. I haven't watched TST in ages. I don't plan to watch it. But that's the beauty of the internet. You can watch TST or you can watch something else, and I don't give a shit either way. I mean, it's up to you. I prefer you watch better stuff, but that's only because I have a different goal in mind, right? My goal from 2 years ago to now and in the future have been very set. I planned these things out step by step, and when the non sequitur show came along, and I had that opportunity, I was going to take it because I recognized a good thing. And then I think that's obvious, but the fact that the success the non sequitur show has had, the fact that I was able to recognize that means that I'm not as naive as people probably think in some ways, right? I know my plans, I know what I want to do, I know how to execute very well. I'm not incompetent in doing these things. I just had to find the right person in order to have a synergy with, and fortunately, that was Kyle, because the fact we are nothing alike. We are on the opposite ends of the spectrum. Perfect, right? I don't want an echo chamber. I don't want somebody exactly like me. Do you? No. And so finding Kyle was perfect because we have so much of dichotomy, and we bring so much different things to the table. That's why I think the non sequitur show works. All right, so moving on. What other questions we got here? By the way, hi, Heavy Holler. Haven't seen you for a while. Hope you're doing well. Hope you're doing fantastic. Yeah, we call it ATP mayonnaise because we get so sick of the argument of ATP synthase. Ronnie doesn't even know what the hell it is. He just doesn't. He's got so many things wrong. And even when he talks to somebody who knows what they're talking about, like a biochemist or biologist, they just think to themselves, yeah, he's utterly clueless, but he doesn't want to learn the stuff. And that's what I think is dishonest, right? Myself, when I don't know something, I want to learn it. I want to go out of my way, open a book, open Google Scholar and learn about something. And I may fuck it up. I may have it completely wrong. But when I have somebody who's an expert on it says, hey, Steve, you have a conceptual error. Let me explain it to you. I shut the fuck up and listen, right? No, not Ronnie. He thinks he's the expert. He's training the PhDs, right? I mean, the arrogance is beyond belief. So, and I know we don't talk about Ronnie much. It used to be, hey, Steve, every episode you talk about Ronnie. Now it's like, hey, whatever happened to Ronnie? I don't talk about him that much for a reason. Occasionally I will, like on an open hangout like this where, we do, but I don't see any need to talk about him. He's just completely irrelevant. His arguments are shit. They've been disproven a million times. He's had nothing new to the table. If he got something new, it'd be finally different. If he said, hey, I have a new argument for intelligent design, I'd be like, oh shit, awesome. Let's check it out. Nope. Same shit, different day. So, Aries, can you just ban Kyle? I think the show would be better without him. No, it would not be better without him. Kyle brings obviously the graphics and a lot to the table. We have such a dichotomy that I don't think the non sequitur show would work as well if either of us weren't involved. We both have 50-50 on it. We started from day one, and obviously it's going to continue that way. And I think that the fact that we don't agree, especially even before we go on air, we're arguing with each other half the time. But we have obviously a mutual respect there. I love Kyle. He's just an awesome person. He's so nice. I don't agree with him, but it's hard to say anything negative about the guy because he's just a good guy, right? So I think that's what people sense, right? They can trust Kyle, whether he's factually correct or not. Really isn't so much the case. He's just personable, and people like that. They like to see that. Back to transhumanism. How do you think it'll affect religion? No, it won't. Look, if we were all just cyborgs, there would just be some kind of change in religion that would accommodate that. It might be, oh, look, the great cyborg in the sky. Who knows? Yeah, Kyle has styles for miles and miles. He's fabulous. Hang on while I drink so you don't hear it. Okay, much better. Dennis Rio, Kyle's great, Steve. Good choice, good man. One might even say he's fabulous, which I just did. He's fabulous. Yeah, I really think that even though that we might have different co-hosts every so often, like if I can't make it or Kyle can't make it, whatever, I don't think the show would work as a whole without either one of us. And that's not trying to sound arrogant. It's just that being involved in the production of it and stuff like that, there's a lot to go into it, and there's a lot that we talk about. And I think that having at least a little bit of knowledge about certain topics adds a lot to the show. And also just the fact that, you have to be able to flow with the show. You don't know what's going to happen. And I think Kyle and I over time have kind of honed that a little bit better. And I've seen a growth from the initial podcast that we started. The YouTube channel was more of an afterthought. And I kind of pushed him and said, look, I think great to have the podcast. And I don't think the YouTube channel should be just an afterthought, even though we should have the videos, and I'll cut them from the podcast and put them up initially like we did with the very first one with Dr. Mays and Kent Hovind. I think we could do more with it. And I think that he listened to that. And now obviously the channel's taken off. I think we're just barely on the beginning of an exponential growth. We'll probably have 10,000 subs by the end of next month, but I think we can get much, much higher by the end of the year, on par with some of the bigger channels. Hopefully. I mean, I'm not trying to be, I'm not trying to overestimate, but I just see the trend, and I see the love and the outpouring of happiness people get from watching the channel. And I just have to go by that as a metric, and I appreciate it immensely. I really do. So let's see here. And by the way, I want to reiterate, I don't do shit for views hardly. Yeah, I mean, we all do stuff for views because we're YouTubers. Let's be realistic here. But I don't change my positions because of views. I will never change my position to think, oh, I'll get more views if I do. Never, has never happened in the 5 years I've had this channel. And yes, I've had this channel 5 years, from March 2013. Go look it up. And so I've never changed my bit, and I never will. I don't think you need a compromise to get views. I think if you have something to say, you have a great fan base, and you have great people that want to come in or just even be in the live chat or whatever, then you'll get some subs out of it. I don't think you needed to pull a Jargonism or a Brett Keane to change a position to get subs. That's fucking ridiculous. And why would you want those kind of subs anyways? It just makes no sense to me. You know, I want subs because they like listening to what we have to say. That's it. I'm not giving up on Kyle. He'll be a triangleist. Oh, he is a triangleist. Yeah, you know, we're going to have a discussion on that too, I guess. Are triangles and colors a thing? I didn't know there's that contentious, to be honest with you. Color realism is pretty much the standard in science and in psychology, from what I understand. So basically, most everybody's that's in the fields of color are realists. They think colors don't exist. They're a phenomenon in the brain, and you could be what's called a projectivism, where you project that onto something. You project your phenomenon into the ontology of the real world. And I'm okay with that. I think that's fine, but that doesn't mean that color actually exists. All right, let me scroll down here. I'm sorry, guys. I'm trying to catch up here. Frozen Sea, what do you mean the channel was created 5 years ago? The non-sex channel? No, the non-sex channel has only been 5 months. This channel here, the Steve McRae channel, was founded in March of 2013, if I remember correctly. Someone wants to go look it up. Odian's in the chat. Odian, would you do me a favor? Because I don't want to mess with this too much. Can you, because my computer screws up when I try to look stuff up occasionally. Can you go look at the about on my channel and see when I started this channel? Because I think, I even say that I'll believe it was March of 2013. And if that was the case, it's been over 5 years. So, let's see here. Mutations aren't like a virus. That I would agree with that. Yeah, mutations. I think the way I look at mutations are like SNPs. You know, that something has changed in the nucleotide sequence. I don't think of endogenous retrovirus is considered a mutation. But I'm not a biologist, so maybe you can ask Fiona or Sam or somebody. I don't know if they consider ERVs to be mutations in the genome, but I don't think so. But I'm willing to accept correction on that. Yeah, Heavy. I don't, like I said, ERVs. I don't think ERVs are considered mutations, but I'm not gonna look it up right now. But I mean, there are changes in the genome, but I always thought a mutation was something that was due to a copying error or some kind of like radiation would come in and form what's called pyrimidine dimer, where you have two nucleotides that instead of going like this, well, they kind of go like this and then they bond like this. So it actually causes a lesion on the DNA. That's what I think of a mutation. So. Steve McRae, Yanny or Laurel? Good question. I'm a Laurelist, and you Yanniists are all going to burn in hell. Simple as that. It says Laurel. There's no Yanny. No, you know, here's the thing. Look, I know it kind of says both, and I understand the frequency thing of the years, and I'm old, so I have lost my higher end and lower end of hearing, especially being in the military. I mean, I worked around freaking turbines. It was loud. We had to wear earplugs, but it was still loud. So imagine working around jet planes, you know, for 4 years. But I do hear Laurel very clearly, distinctly. There's no question. There's nothing about Yanny, but I don't know what he actually says. Oh, so Yodin says 5 years. So I was right, March of 2013. So people have said, oh, well, Steve's only has a channel for 2 years. No, It's been 5 years. So let's see here. Well, this is to tornado pelt, but where did life come from and how did it first form? Who the hell knows? But I'll tell you this. I do believe that abiogenesis extends to any kind of biological life from non-life, including the concept of religion. So when a Christian says that God created life, that is abiogenesis to me, because it is not life from non-life. How he did it, that's a different question. I mean, if he dust to the earth or whatever, still abiogenesis. What he did is some magical power or speaking in tongues, who the hell knows? I don't believe that, obviously, but that's still abiogenesis. And the way I look at the logical syllogism is that at one point in time, life did not exist. Life exists now. Conclusion, life came from non-life. That's it. That's all it's saying. I mean, I kind of came up with that syllogism, but that's all it's saying. At some point in time, life came from non-life, whether it was from a causal agent like God, or is it strictly through biological and chemical processes? That's a different question. Now, do I think that you can satisfy that second part using just laws of nature? Yeah, I think that we probably got here via just laws of nature. Now, if you want to advocate the position that God created those laws prescriptively initially, that's a different story. But I don't see an active deity going, okay, life begins right here. I don't see that, right? And why would he do it exactly at 4 billion years ago or something, right? Especially when you have an infinite God. If God's been around forever, right, then at some point in this atemporal existence, he made something happen. He said, okay, at this point, life occurs. But why is it just at that point if he's infinite? I mean, it's hard to think when you have it's like saying if I have an infinite line, at somewhere on that line, for whatever arbitrary reason, I'm going to point to this point in the line and go from there and life exists. Well, why would God do it that way? Why did God pick a particular time to create the universe? It just seems weird to me that if an infinitely old being, that a temporal agent can do something causality wise in our own reality. But anyways, I'm sorry, I'm not looking at the chat here. That was a little side tangent. Okay, so what other questions we got? Wow, we got 125 people watching this. This is weird. I'm just kind of like answering questions. I didn't think it would be that busy. Don't forget to know tonight, Non Sequitur Show. Watch it. It's gonna be great. I just got to see if Casey holds her composure and doesn't break out laughing. That this guy's trying to heal her, or send her positive vibrations or something. What if life always existed? Checkmate. And that's a different thing, but I don't think that anybody can make that argument. We know at some point that there was no life. I mean, even if the Earth was just a molten ball thing, that there's no life there. Now, you could advocate some kind of panspermia thing, fine, but that just pushes the goalposts back. But the other option would be, well, God's always life and God's eternal, but that's not biological life, right? And so just to posit that eternal life, that life came from life, meaning that God was the life that the life came from for biology, I think you have a category error, because we're talking about biological life, and also you have another problem in that you have a special pleading, because what created God then? And unless you posit something like, oh, well, God was the first life, the prime life, like the prime mover argument, I haven't seen anybody do that. So I think that'd be weird. Although I have had somebody argue that God was a biological agent. Never heard that one before. So, all right, let me catch up here. Oshkosh, I was just curious if you guys gain views if I download your videos and watch them over and over. It still counts as only one view. Yeah, it only counts as one view, but that's fine. I mean, look at this channel's almost got 1 million views. It's got 800,000 plus. I don't even know how many 100,000s the Non Sequitur Show. All channels combined is about 1 million views. I mean, I'm not concerned if people download the videos and watch them, and so I don't get views. I couldn't care. They're watching it. That's all I care. They're watching it and they're enjoying it, and they'll provide feedback to it at some point. Great, right? I mean, I don't really care if somebody watches it on YouTube or something. That's, yeah. I mean, of course, it helps, obviously, but yeah, it's not critical. But I like the fact they leave comments. I get inundated with comments. I mean, you got to remember, between Twitter, Facebook, G Plus, and YouTube, we get a shit ton of comments every day, and we're talking as many as 100 different things we have to respond to, and I try to read them all. And even on Facebook, you guys can see me, if those who are my friends on Facebook. But you got to have an actual name. You can't use a pseudonym, I guess, on Facebook. I posit a lot on there, and I run arguments on there, and then I kind of test them out. And I also do the same thing on Twitter. So and G Plus. So I get the same kind of questions on multiple places, and I'm trying to carry on multiple conversations to kind of get different perspectives. And it's not as easy as it sounds sometimes. But you can find me on Facebook. You can find me on Twitter. Links in the video description. And I love when people message me. It's so funny. Certain people have a knack for messaging me at the most inopportune time. And there's nothing like, oh, hey, I'm watching porn or something. But it's just like I've got like 6 other things going on, or is there some crisis? And it's like I can't really stop what I'm doing to get to you, and I don't want people to think that just because I've seen your message I'm blowing you off. I'm not. It's just trust me. I'll show your screen sometime where I just got messages across the board. I'm frantically clicking them like off, and I'll get back to them. But I don't stop. Like I said, I do love that. So let's see here. God is maximally biological. Yeah, did you watch that the other day with the logical problem evil, trying to explain what a maximally great being is, like Anselm's, that the being that none can be created or imagined to be greater than. But Steve Bauman, Steve, you always respond on patient. Thank you. I do always try to respond. It could be up to 24 hours, but almost always I try to respond. If I don't, it's probably because I didn't see it. It's come up in my messages. In YouTube, like for example, you have messages and you have the messages from other people. It comes up there, or it just got lost. I mean, it does happen, but I really do try to message people back. All right. So, any other questions you got? Let's see. Kyle has grown on me. Yeah, like a wart. No, I'm kidding. At first, I just wanted you to go head to head with most people that came on the show. Now I wait patiently for Kyle to figure things out. That is half the fun. It's just like, Kyle, are you on board with this yet? Are you getting there? Obviously, there's the things on the non sequitur show. Not all of them are easily digestible. I happen to like science and philosophy, even though I'm purely a layperson, and I happen to like the topics. And so I try to at least try to understand. Like, for example, the Joe and the Reverend discussion on libertarian free will. Joe had an understanding of it because Joe knows these topics. The Reverend not so much, and so there was a bad matchup, and both Kyle and I recognize that it was a bad matchup. But I at least tried to see where Joe was coming from because I think I can, and of course I have to agree with Joe. But Kyle doesn't invest his time learning philosophy. He doesn't like philosophy. I get that. He doesn't have to. Again, we both bring different things to the table. But he's funny as shit. He's creative. I mean, you got to admit, the creativity that Kyle has is just blows me the fuck away. And that's what I was looking for. I don't have that creativity. I even said from the beginning, I don't have the creativity to properly run a show. I tried it with the Sunday show. Didn't take off too well. The content was good, but the creativity is not. And so people want a combination of both. I get that. And so the fact that I can at least bring something to the table, talking about multiple different things, I know who to get. I have a lot of contacts. And with Kyle's creativity, I think it's a perfect blend. And we don't try to dog on people, right? I mean, when you go on like the Drunk Peasants and those kind of shows or TSD or whatever, it's just a dog pile. I'm not interested in that. I want to have a conversation. And even though there might be people that I fundamentally don't agree with, like that guy Matt, and he went on his own channel, made a video saying that we dogpiled him. He said 4 atheists dogpiled him. I corrected him and said, no, I'm agnostic. But he pulled the persecution porn thing. And I was like, come on, Matt, seriously, dude? You were not tag team. It's just you had a shit argument. You're advocating a most untenable, unfathomable, mind-bogglingly stupid position that kids should be executed, and you don't think you're going to get pushback for that? Come on. Really? Let's see what we got here. Have you ever heard of the stoned ape theory? No, I heard of the aquatic ape theory, but not the stoned ape. So, Tornado, you can have mods temporarily. Stephen Bauman, for booze and recreational stimulants, 349. Thank you, Stephen. You know what's funny is I bought this Christian Brothers brandy God, I think I brought it last month, and I'm still not done with it yet. That's how that's how little I put in my coffee. I mean, there's a cap in there, and what I do is I fill up the cap, and sometimes not even full. And so I literally have a cap in a cup. So one thing of brandy, because I'm cheap, lasts me forever, but I get the flavor. I'm not trying to get drunk. I mean, if I can get drunk, I'll have a rum and coke now, right? But I don't want to get drunk. I just like brandy for the flavor for my coffee. Stoned Ape is Terrence McKinney. Yeah, don't know who that is. Yeah, the aquatic ape hypothesis was scrapped. True. Let's see here. I'm just saying evolution is just a theory that hasn't been proven, requires faith like religion. Well, that's a stupid. Look at, I'm going to say this a million times. I mean, we need to put on the wiki or something. Do you think, guys, we need like 10 or 20 fundamental things that just creationists get wrong? I know that there's a guy named Creation Misconceptions, and he's on Twitter. Great guy. And he has these cards, and it's like creationist misconception 1 and 2, and he's supposed to give me a master list on it. But when somebody says that it's never been proven, I automatically know you've never had a science course in your life. Okay, or if you did, you failed it miserably, or you didn't pay attention. Nothing is ever proven in science. There's no such thing as a proven theory ever in science. The theory of gravity, not proven. The theory of germ theory, not proven. Atomic theory, not proven. But I guarantee it, these things work. The theory is only supposed to be able to explain and predict. And as somebody who's a instrumentalist like myself, all it has to do is explain and predict and maybe some other stuff. But for the most part, it doesn't have to be reality. A realist, scientific realist, would say this is the way it actually is in reality. But the problem I have with that is that we have no way to ever know that. I think that, again, we only look at a map, and the territory out there we never actually see. Our map is our belief system. And so when we're looking at the territory out there, we never see it directly. We have something that we filter it through for our perception. So even if that was the case, that the theory was reality or not, we have no way of ever knowing that. Well, I guess if it's not, it could be falsified, but we would have never have any ability to know that is actually the way the territory is. And by the way, I do have a blog coming out on this soon. It's 2 pages, and I'm not sure if I butchered it or not. I had a couple people read it. They didn't find major fault with it, but I don't know. It didn't go where I wanted to go. But do you guys think that I should just put the blog out and I'll put it on the G Plus page and let you guys figure it out? Because it was kind of a little bit of sophistry. I dived into sophistry just a little bit, and you could kind of pick it up there. But I don't know if it really went where I was trying to go. And I hate to put a blog out there that doesn't make much sense. But if you kind of read into it, you'll see where I'm going with it. And it does have to do with the map and the territory, and have to do with beliefs. So you guys just say, fuck it. Yeah, put it out there. And if it's wrong, we'll just laugh at you. That's fine. I don't mind that, right? If somebody says, God, that's a dumb article, I'll be like, yeah, it kind of was. All right, so Seraph 64. They just learned from creationists and not biologists, of course. Evolutionists' faith in those conditions. Yeah, look at they're equivocating the word faith with belief and everything else, and I think that's disingenuous for creationists to do it. I don't have faith that, in the religious sense, that evolution is a fact. I have confidence and faith in scientists that they know what the hell they're doing. Yes, I have faith that scientists know what they're doing. I have faith that the information being provided to me is correct. I have faith that my ability to understand the material is sound. I have faith that I have a cognitive thought process that works, that produces a reliable information to me by a reliable mechanism, a reliable thought process, a cognitive thought process. Yes, if you want to call that faith, so the fuck what? It's a word. Okay, but in this case, I'm using the word faith to mean confidence interchangeably. Okay, but I don't have faith that's not based upon some kind of justificatory reasons. I don't say I'm hoping this, therefore I have faith that it be true. That's what the theist would do. Especially like like, for example, like a theist. And I hate to say this because I never want to upset Jade, but theism is an irrational position, and I had to come to my own conclusion on that. Theism is not rational, but is the position that knowingly it is not rational. It's still a position based upon faith. Okay, fair enough. Theism literally is supposed to be a position that is not supposed to be rational. It is supposed to be on faith. That's what theism actually is. There are other types of theism where it's called rational theism, where you do try to rationalize theism. And one of the things that a theist will approach that with is called reformed epistemology, which is Plantinga offers. And we were supposed to have a debate or discussion on reformed epistemology, but unfortunately, that's not going to happen on the Non Sequitur show. It's going to happen on this channel, hopefully. And we're going to be talking about that eventually. But anyways, let's move on here. RSC, tautology equals proven. I think a proof actually requires steps. I think a proof actually has some kind of form to it. A tautology is true by definition. That it's a tautology. Pine trees and elephants, proven, yes. And by the way, this is true. Pine, and somebody brought this to my attention. I don't remember your name, but thank you for the comment, because I didn't. Maybe I did think about it, but I kind of slipped my mind. But it should be noted: pine trees and elephants both have trunks, evidence of common ancestry. There you go. Frozen Sea, how do you respond to the people that say a theory is something that hasn't been graduated or scientific law? I think they don't understand what the scientific law or theory is. There's no such thing as a theory that graduates to a scientific law. A scientific theory is the highest you can get. It's above a law. A scientific theory incorporates all the evidence, all the data that supports the theory, and all the scientific laws that are relevant. So you don't say a theory becomes a law. That's just asinine. A scientific law is something that we observe to be the case. I don't think scientific laws are immutable. There's something called noetic philosophy or noetic laws that such that these types of laws exist immutably. I don't think that's the case. I think that under different conditions, different laws would be the case. If you want to make the argument that under the conditions for this universe, these laws are the way they are, that's a fine-tuning type thing, fair enough. But I don't necessarily see any prerequisite condition that they must be the way they are, unless you're going to argue they must be the way they are given the conditions of the universe. But to me, that's a tautology. So, just see here. Hannah Anderson asks, who's your favorite guest to date? I might get some flack for this, but I like Hugh Ross. I think Hugh is a personable guy. He's intelligent. He's a great interlocutor. I just enjoy having him in the discussion. Now, do I agree with him? No, not a lot. But he's a very well-known personality, so he's got to be one of my favorites. I also gotta admit, I liked that guy Mike Hughes, the guy that launched himself up in the rocket, right? Very nice guy. I enjoyed that. Shannon Q, obviously, she's never been really a guest on the Non Sequitur show. She's a part of it, but she'll come in, right? She's been on there. I know she's not on this channel, obviously. Yeah. She was on the whole questions for atheist thing, or questions for theist thing, which, by the way, was a huge success. We really enjoyed making that. We got a new one coming up soon. And also, you guys may not know this, but Holy Cooley's making a video on flat earth that are similar, and not a big secret because he posted it publicly. So let's see here. Any other questions, or should I just kind of call it to a close? And then hopefully next time we can get Courtney in or talk about some kind of argument, because I do want to go through each argument at some point, at least a lot of them, especially like argument and contingency. I think it's a bad argument, and I want to explain why. I want to explain the modal ontological argument, right, or the kalam even, maybe. Did you watch Captain Osimo and Ronnie G-Man last night? I did not. Again, I don't watch G-Man. I barely watch Ronnie, and I really don't. I mean, for the most part, if somebody says, "Hey, hey, Steve, you might want to watch this part," I do. But I have many other things going on. I just don't really care to listen to Ronnie unless it's something new. If somebody says, "Hey, Ronnie's got this really brilliant new argument," I'll be like, "Oh, hey, let's go check it out, man." But it's just the same shit. So why would I bother to listen to Ronnie or G-Man if it's just going to be the same fucking shit over and over again? At least on this channel, I want to provide variety. On the Non Sequitur, say what you want, but goddamn, we have variety. That's why it's a Non Sequitur. We are all over the fucking place. So yeah, you need to get some libations for tonight's show. Probably, Dave. Probably. I literally only have like that much brandy left, but I might polish it off tonight. Please bring G-Men on the show. No. Again, I respect the fact that G-Man recognizes that non sequitur is doing well. I respect the fact he's been very supportive of the non sequitur show and me for the most part. I mean, he's obviously had his moments, but he recognizes that Kyle and I are putting forth a good product, I think, and he recognizes that I'm working, extremely hard to try to make something, not just of the non sequitur show, but of the great debate community, of my channel, and other channels that want to be a part of it. And, I've offered that to G-Man. We wanted to help G-Man out. You guys may not know this, but we offered to help with his graphics. We offered to help with his promotional. We were going to try to build his channel up until he did his B-17 shit. At that point, I put the kibosh in and said, there's no freaking way I am comfortable ethically to promote a channel that's promoting shit like B-17. If you want to promote bullshit like creationism, okay, well, yeah, I'm not going to support it, but I mean, it is what it is, right? I mean, I think we could use that to our advantage to show, hey, here's a channel that promotes, bullshit science, and we're going to use that as a platform to show why it's bullshit. Fair enough. It's a symbiotic type thing. I get that. But if you're going to promote things that actually promote death, no, I'm not down for that. So I hope you guys understand my reasoning for that. I mean, if you don't, that's fine. But there's a reason why I really don't want G-Man around until he cleans up his act. And the two things I think he has to do is renounce that B-17 shit and apologize to Mel, because he really, and to Jade, both of them. I mean, he really had no reason to go after either one of them. It was just disgusting to me. Lamed, G-Man asked for evidence he's related to water. That I did hear about. Yeah, that's one of those what the fuck things. I don't. Is he just? It's hard for me to even grasp how far from reality he really is, and how far he just doesn't understand these concepts. You guys used to think that we were making this shit up and that we were just kind of mocking G-Man for not understanding these things. No, when we say that G-Man has no concept of half this stuff, I cannot be more spot on and succinct by saying he doesn't understand most of these concepts. He just doesn't. I don't know how else to say it. It's not just hyperbole. He really doesn't. If he thinks that there should be evidence that we're related to water, there's not a person in my life who would think, oh, yeah, there should be evidence for that. No, they all go, that's a stupid, because it's stupid. Okay. See here. Let me scroll back here. Arc Nightmare. Just found the show recently and I've been enjoying it so far. What do you think is the worst you've had on the show so far, in your opinion? Oh, man, I don't want to throw anybody under the bus as far as guest, obviously, because they're guests. But the worst had to be that Nathaniel Esner guy. Is that his name? He was a young earth creationist, and he came in to have a talk. And he was just ridiculously dumb. And all he did was promote things out there by young earth creationists, PhDs. And he does the same thing on my Facebook page. I mean, I know him from Facebook. And I don't know if he's got a mental disorder. I know he's slow a little bit, but I don't think he's mentally retarded. So I'm not going to, use that as an excuse. And I would never mock anybody who has a mental deficiency. That's one thing that I want to make sure before people go into a conversation. If you have some kind of mental deficiency that's, either physical or psychological, I'm not comfortable making fun of them. I'm not comfortable dogging on them. I think that is something that they can't change, and I think we should be respectful of that, regardless of how wrong their position is. Now, we can explain them why they're wrong, but let's do it in a tactful kind of way. But he was just spewing nonsense and didn't take correction, and I think it was just a horrible show. So, and on my channel, the worst was this guy named Nathan, not the same guy, but this other guy, and he did a debate with Ken Hovind, and I went in knowing that he was way out of his league. And I even said to myself, we probably shouldn't have this discussion. He was way out of his depths, and I didn't listen to my inner instinct, and it was a total shit show. And I had to give the win to Kent, kind of. So, Stephen Wadcock, G-Man is a dismissalist. Good word, I like that, dismissalist. Anything he doesn't understand or can't understand and chooses not to understand, he simply dismisses. You're right. And you know what, though? He's not the only one that does that. I got to tell you, I've seen a lot of atheists do that as well. There's a lot of atheists who love to throw out, oh, that's his word salad, when it's not word salad. We all know Ronnie does word salad. We all get that. And sometimes he actually tries to throw some scientific stuff together that's not word salad, but it's called jargon bombing. Jargon bombing is when you throw in a bunch of fancy words that actually do have some coherence to them and some kind of message, but there's no reason to. It's just, hey, look what I know. I know all these fancy scientific words. Who the fuck cares? But word salad is when you just string a bunch of words together that have no coherency to them whatsoever. And when I see atheists that don't like philosophy, I see a lot of them do this. So like, oh, well, that theist argument is just word salad. Well, no, actually, it's not. It's actually a very well-known argument, or like even with Photo's argument for natural selection. Photo's a very well-known philosopher, and he's not an idiot. He's also an atheist. His argument is not word salad, but it takes so much background to understand why that is an argument. I mean, I took several hangouts, including hours on end with people for me to even remotely understand the argument. And I'm not going to say that I fully do, but I got a gist of it. It's not an easy argument, but I never thought it was word salad. But okay. Let's see. Moving on here. That's a word I coined myself after debating a number of these intellectual fruit. Yeah, no, it's a great word. I love that. I mean, you put it in quotes, and I like that. I knew it was a neologism, but or neologism, I guess. But yeah, no, that's great. Okay, Fantasyland. I think evolution and Big Bang is going to be the one world religion for the new world order, and I think you're probably insane, and you probably need to go seek mental help. It's fair enough. Yeah, the whole new world order. You watch too many videos, and neither Big Bang or evolution is religion. If you think so, you need help. You really do. I mean, I'm just going to put it out there. I don't think that people are insane if they don't accept evolution, but I think people really need to check their mental processes. If they just don't understand something to that degree and they want to discuss it, then you probably are in it for the wrong reasons. I mean, I don't know if it's just to be antagonistic, if it's to get negative attention, but you look like a moron when you do stuff like that. And I don't understand why people go out of their way to look like morons. Flat earthers do it all the time. They really do go out of their way for whatever reason. Hey, look at me. I'm a moron. I think the earth is flat. Okay. But yeah, there's nothing religious about Big Bang or evolution. These are scientific concepts. They're independent of theology. They're independent of God's existence. If you want to make some kind of theological argument that these things are contingent upon a necessary being, so what? That's philosophy. That's not science. The science is that the Big Bang is a legit model that explains and predicts. Evolution is something we know that happens all the time. We know that it goes back 3.94 billion years or so, whatever. Science is not contingent upon the deity. That's a different argument altogether. So, Stephen Wadcock, any shot of getting Orphan read and her less than pedestrian knowledge, everything for debate conversation. I talked to Orphan the other day. She knows who I am. I talked to her on Twitter and I told her, look, I think I just need a break from flat earth bullshit. And I really don't care if you come on or not, because I'd asked her to come on and I just don't give a shit if she does. I think she's a Poe. I don't think she believes any of this shit. And I could be wrong. I totally could be wrong on that. But I made a video explaining to Orphan Red one of the things she was talking about, which is called luminescence. And, she didn't even bother to even respond a little bit on it. And I said, look, you don't make a video responding to me, but here, talk to me on Twitter. Explain to me where I went wrong. And she didn't care. And it's just like, you know what? You're a fucking Poe, man. Yeah, I mean, you're attractive and stuff. And I think that you use that as a marketable thing. Sure, fine enough. You're attractive and you use it for marketability. Go for it, right? But either A, she doesn't know shit about these topics, or she's a lot smarter than we think, and she's just dumbing herself down for reasons to get views. I don't know. Let's see here. Robert Payne, is being a contrarian a diagnosable condition? I don't know, but it probably should be. I know a lot of contrarians, and I just can't stand them. Look, I wanted to discuss things with people that have beliefs and have ideas and have thoughts. If you're going to be a contrarian, then I have no reason to have a conversation, because there's no reason to try to change your perspective. There's no persuasion involved. And there's something you guys may know this. I want to do a hang on this one day, and I'm not going to go into great details with them. But have you guys ever heard of Greece's maxims? You may not have, but one of the things when you have conversations, you have a principle of cooperation, and Greece's maxims are basically things you should apply in any conversation. The maximum of quality, maximum of quantity, maximum of relation, and maximum of matter. There are 4 relations, and they're kind of common sense, but people don't think about them that much. They're basically the maximum quantity would be should give enough information to your interlocutor, but no less and no more. And it's kind of like a zero-sum game. If you require so many units of information to get your point across to somebody, that's what you need to do. You shouldn't use any less, shouldn't use any more. The maximum of quality, which should be like you should approach every conversation being honest and being truthful and expecting that your interlocutor is giving you truth. One of the things I notice is that people are automatically have a knee-jerk reaction that if somebody says something, oh, they're just lying. Well, no, they might actually honestly believe this shit. That's not lying, okay? And so you got to take it from the position, for the most part, that most people come into a conversation trying to be honest. They could be fundamentally wrong, but they're probably honest, except for pose and people that are just trying to be dishonest dicks. It's hard to tell the difference. I get that. But in the maximum, the maximum would be to treat everything from a honest position, and that you want to give information that's backed by evidence, and that you want to give information that's based on something that you can provide evidence for of some kind. And the other one would be maximum relationship, which is you try to be relevant to the and pertinent to the discussion, such that you don't bring extraneous stuff to the table. That's like a red herring stuff. But anyways, those are maximums that most people don't generally think of, but I think make for a much better discussion. Let's see here. You don't know what a PO is? A PO is somebody who advocates a position just to get a response, whether they probably don't believe in that position. Like, for example, I'm not a flat earther, but if I went into flat earth forum pretending to be a flat earther, I'd be a PO. All right. Oh, and it's sorry, Wadcock, Stephen Wadcock. Let's see here. Who are you all convinced of POs on YouTube? I can never be convinced. I can never say I actually believe them to be POs. I guess I don't know. Maybe. I mean, I guess I do believe Orphan Red is a PO to some degree. I'm not like thoroughly convinced of it. I mean, but if you're convinced, you believe. So I believe that she is. But I could change my position on that. I could be totally wrong. I think that people like Jargonism are con men. I think that Nathan Oakley and what's that other guy? Sleeping Warrior. I don't think they're POs, but I think they probably are bullshit artists to some degree. Orphan Red is probably the person I'm most convinced to PO by Rim. Yeah, I think you're right. I think she is. But I don't know why she does it then. I mean, if she's that good to be a PO, she's creative and she's articulate and she's got the look, why not use it to her advantage to put forth the right science? I don't understand the need to get a negative attention. To me, that's some kind of psychological trait that she would rather get negative attention by being a PO and putting forth this bullshit about flat earth than actually going, oh, hey, you know what? I'm not this idiot redhead with big boobs. I actually have something to say. I think she would probably get more attention that way, or at least better attention, but that's just me. I say look it a lot, do I? That's a catchphrase, yeah. Look it. Okay, yeah, I guess so. Let's see here. RSC, anyone interested in supporting a North and South Pole fly over to disprove flat Earth? Check out Greater Sipian's channel. We have Greater Sipian coming on. I know he's doing a pole to pole thing, so go check him out. I don't know what date it is though. I have to look sometime after the 2nd, I think, in July or June. But it's not going to disprove flat Earth. I mean, no matter what Greater Sipian does, he can't disprove flat Earth to their satisfaction. And I throw in that to their satisfaction, flat Earth obviously is disproved, because all they would ever do is say, oh, he's just part of the conspiracy, or that, oh, that wasn't good enough. These guys don't give a shit about evidence. Flat Earthers don't care about truth. None of them. Or at least very, very few. I think the very few that care about truth are just too stupid to understand why it's not flat, and the other ones just don't give a shit. They're ambivalent. Yeah, Riley may be a flat earth. Okay, fair enough. Riley maybe. I mean, he's just that stupid. But yeah, I like Greater Sapien. He's got a good channel, and I'm looking forward to having him on. Have you or Kyle spoken with Wolfie 6020? No, I mean, Wolfie doesn't do hangouts, and so one of the things that obviously we do a lot is hangouts. Wolfie doesn't do shows. Wolfie 6020 makes great videos, extremely knowledgeable and extremely generous. He's given, drones to a couple of different people. But he doesn't really go on shows, but I have the utmost respect for Wolfie. I think his videos are great. I think he does a wonderful job explaining why the earth isn't flat from a pilot's point of view, right? Let's see here. Yeah, people have done poll to polls, so it won't change their minds, right? Um, G-Man is an idiot. He does troll, but he believes his bullshit. Yes, Lucifer Mighty, I think you're right on that. Yeah, he does believe what he says, right? I know when he lies, and yes, he does outright lie. I'm sorry, I can't say otherwise. Like what he did with me and Drunken Peasants, and went on there and said, "Oh, look, Steve believes you can be an atheist and believe in a god." That's an outright lie. He knows that was wrong. He was shown that it was wrong. He knows that I don't hold that position. Although what's funny is, and I probably shouldn't say this because it's going to give him ammo, but you know me, I try to be intellectually honest. And now follow me with this, guys. Look at that's my trademark. See if you guys agree with me on this. And I'm probably going to get shit for this. But in one specific instance, I could imagine a possibility of being an atheist and still believe in a God. And that'd be a very specific case where you're talking to a classical theist, where the classical theist advocates the position that to be a theist, you have to advocate the belief of that one type of theist God. And if you don't, then you're an atheist. Even if you were a deist, you would be an atheist. I do know a classical theist who thinks that way, that to him, anybody who's not a classical theist under classical theism would be an atheist. Matter of fact, the term atheist was originally attributed to Christians who did not accept the Roman pantheonic gods. So in that particular case, where you are an atheist and you have a God belief, it is possible. But that is only in very select cases where you're defining these words differently than conventionally used, such as classical theism. You would have to be, okay, I'm only using a classical theism. We don't generally abide by classical theism when we're talking about the God concept, right? We're talking about atheism as any God. You reject all of them, or that you just don't believe in any of them. But that nuance is there, that yes, you could be an atheist if you lived back in Roman days. Then if you're a Christian, you'd be an atheist. So that would be the only time I think that would fly. But that's not what I mean by it. So when I say an atheist cannot be somebody who believes in God, I'm talking about modern day atheism. Modern day atheism uses you do not have a God belief, and if you accept the philosophical version that you believe that God doesn't exist, then you can't have that and also believe there's a God. There's a contradiction there. So that's what I was trying to get through the G-Man, but he doesn't understand these fine, nuanced details. So, let me get back to the live feed here. Sorry, guys. Do I think G-Man's a Poe? No, he's not a Poe. G-Man wants views, though, and I think he'll say a lot of things to get views. And most of his views are hate views. Let's be realistic here. He's got most of his views from the older days when he was on Drunken Peasants, and most of those people that subscribe to him that no longer listen, the ones that do, they don't believe him for the most part. I don't think he has much followers. And by the way, I think it's a big thing to say of how many views you get per your sub count, right? If it's a percentage. And if I have like 5,000 subs and I have 100 some odd people watching, I'm thrilled to death. I think that's exceptional. I am humbled and flattered, and I love the fact that I can communicate with people that want to listen. And in real time, I find it to be very entertaining myself, and I'm glad that other people do as well. But he has like 10,000, and he gets like 50, right? So he has twice as many subs, but half the view count at most. I think that says something. Now, I could be perfectly wrong on that. I can get 10,000 subs and maybe I'll drop down to 10 viewers. Who the fuck knows, right? But he's consistent about that. And when you listen to the live chat, or you watch the live chat, most of it is all against him for the most part. And especially like Ronnie. It's like the entire live chat just can't stand what he's saying because he's wrong so much. But G-Man has one click left of Nephilim free. Both are H2O thieves. Yeah, fair enough. Puffla Pass, is it appropriate to label myself an agnostic deist? No, because a deist would be somebody who accepts as a divine being, but that divine being doesn't influence our lives. Deism would fall under theism unless you're in the framework of classical theism. Like if you're in a religious organization and they accept classical theism, then a deist would be an atheist, right? It wouldn't be an agnostic. An agnostic is somebody who doesn't evaluate the position either way. Crazy Jesse, you're single-handedly entertaining over 100 people. Props. I appreciate that. I mean, a lot of people didn't think years ago that I had enough to carry an entire channel. I knew that I did, and I wanted to put them to shame. And this was years and years ago. And so, look, I think that I can. I think I bring a lot to the table, and I think that I enjoy having conversations with people, and I enjoy people watching, and I enjoy engaging with them. And if I'm enjoying it, then I'm hoping that they do too. And that seems the way the things work on YouTube, right? I mean, if you're not enjoying the conversation, you're not going to listen to it. No matter how much you like the person or agree with the person or disagree with the person, if you're not engaged and you're not listening to where you're being entertained, then you're not getting anything out of it, right? And I don't want that. I want people to go, God, I want to listen to Steve's channel because I find the conversations to be interesting. I've learned something. Or I like the fact that you have Ocean and Bionic Dance going at each other's throats. Yeah, that was the thing yesterday. Oh my God, did they go after each other's throats? Yeah, for 2 hours, no less. I'm a talker. I admit that. I don't like to ramble. It can happen, but I think I can carry 2 hours on just bullshit like this. Questions and answers. I enjoy it. Now I'm hoping that the next time Courtney will join us. She did message me, and of course, she's apologized, and no, she's good to go. Okay, just catching up a few things. Yesterday was kick ass. Thank you. I gotta admit, that went better than I thought. Even though it was way too long, I didn't want to go 4 hours. I really wanted to have like an hour discussion on these things, maybe 90 minutes, 2 minutes or 2 hours tops, right? But we got so many sidetracks that it carried over to 4 hours, and I don't want to do that again. If I have a discussion on a particular topic like the argument of evil, I want it to be easily digestible in one sitting, and so. What about a show about genealogy with Steve Bowman and Purple Dan? Yeah, I'm okay with that. Steve Bowman, come on, Bowman. He can come on anytime. I love Steve. Yeah, he has a lot to this as far as from a geological standpoint. He knows quite a bit. Brant says, I've never heard you ramble or get off track. Really? Boy, what have you listened to? We get off track a lot, and I think we all tend to ramble occasionally. I mean, you got to realize we're doing these things off the cuff for the most part. I mean, this was obviously totally off the cuff because I had a guest on and she couldn't make it, so I had to change it to something else. Nothing I could plan for. And so it's very difficult for the average person who has never had any kind of experience in being in front of an audience or being able to carry on a communications in real time to do it. It's a skill set you have to learn. Fortunately, you may not know this, but I used to train people in the retail environment as well, not just nuclear. But I would stand in front of 30 people once a week for years and train new people. And that was a 4-hour type sitting sometimes. And so, you get used to being in front of people. You get used to being the center. But I've never felt comfortable with it unless I'm talking about something that I enjoy talking about or know something that I talk about. If it's a subject that I don't know anything about, like that whole neurology shit, I'm not going to have, you're never going to see me have a hangout where I kind of lead something about neurology. It will never happen because I know so little about it. I like to give, topics or get topics and discussions of things that I at least think I know a little bit about. So, Frozen Sea, Steve, would you support a new scientific philosophical enterprise in discovering if God can be shown to exist, or what do you think that would be futile? First of all, that's an oxymoron. Science can never be used to demonstrate if God exists or not. It's the wrong tool. Get rid of that. Okay. Anytime you can say, "Oh, I can you scientifically prove God exists?" You automatically have a category error. And I say atheists do that as well. Stop doing that. Okay. If God's going to be proven, it's going to be through probably not even empiricism, but more of a rational approach, more than of a logical deductive argument in some ways. Now, that doesn't ontologically prove that it exists, of course. And I do think there are logically sound arguments for the existence of God in some cases. Somebody the other day on the G Plus had a logical argument for the existence of God, and that was sound too, but it wasn't convincing. And so if you don't have a convincing argument, what good is it? Just because you have a logical sound argument, it doesn't poof God into existence. But if you properly frame it, you could have a logical and sound argument that does leave with the conclusion that God exists, but it doesn't ontologically make it a necessity. However, I think that if a logical sound argument that is convincing existed, then yes, I think that it would be more rational to believe God exists. I haven't seen any of those yet, though. I enjoy you, Steve. I want to see you debate more. Well, that sounded dirty. Okay. Yeah. I haven't been enjoying it in a long time, crypto, but thank you. I, I don't really like to do the formal debates, only for the fact that they require so much prep work. Now, will I again? Yes, probably. I think that if I find a topic that I find worthy enough to have a debate on, meaning not this worthy of my time, but I mean something that I really wanted to do for myself, not just for you guys, then yeah, I'll have a debate. But the problem is I don't want to debate for the sake of debating, right? Look, I'm not going to debate a PhD. I'm not in that qualification to debate somebody with a PhD, and regardless of the thing. Will I debate something like Ronnie? Yeah, because I know Ronnie's wrong, and that he has a voice. He did have a voice in the community. I got to tell you, I think Ronnie's voice went way the fuck down. I mean, he's nominalized at this point because he gets like 3 viewers. So back then, though, he's putting forth something that I go, hey, I do know something about this. I could debate him on this. Or when I debated Wayne, it's because I wanted to help him come out of young creationism. So maybe eventually, yes, I will have another debate. So. Boy, so many questions. I didn't think I'd be getting this many questions. Have you considered a show with a debate conversation regarding conspiracies like Sandy Hook? Probably not. I know somebody personally who was very influenced by Sandy Hook. They didn't have anybody that got killed, but they were highly influenced by it. And I don't know. It's just a very touchy subject. Frozen Sea. I didn't say prove, I meant show. Do you think it's impossible for science to suggest that existence of God? I'm also agnostic on this question. It is impossible. Science does not suggest God. Period. 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 Stop it. Science can never, no matter how much it wants to, ever posit God as an explanation. That doesn't mean God doesn't exist. It doesn't mean you can't show God exists. It doesn't mean you cannot demonstrate it. Nothing like that. It's science, by the nature of science, must adhere to methodological naturalism. And this is one thing that I get in discussions with Dean or argue, against Dean's position, Dean Esme, Max Colby. He advocates that supernatural is part of science. I think that's bullshit. Science explicitly says that we have to have a natural phenomenon, a natural explanation for a natural phenomenon. And even though God could have done it, it's not the job of science to do that. Science can never say God done did it. Now, in philosophy, it's a different story. If you want to say, hey, philosophically speaking, because of this and that and whatever you want to bring to the table, ergo God, go for it. Go for it. It might be convincing to some people. Maybe. But don't use science for it. That just bastardizes science. Do you guys at least agree with that on me on that? I mean, I don't really ask for affirmation for my own. Oh, people agree with me. I don't. People have said it before. When I say, "Am I right?" or "Do you agree?" It's not personally for my affirmation. It's just I want to get a poll. I want to kind of see if you guys are on the same page with me, because you got to admit, even if you're not on the same page with me or if you disagree, there might be some things that I'm just not going to change my position on readily, right? And so I'm not afraid of controversy. I'm not afraid of being challenged. And there are some things that, yeah, you know what? Yeah, convince me. Otherwise, I probably will be. Or, hey, maybe I'm wrong on it. And that's why I'm asking constantly for that kind of affirmation. It's not my ego. Don't think that. It's honestly not. Would you have your own TV show? No. No. Matter of fact, somebody the other day mentioned, hey, Steve, we're surprised you haven't been approached by an actual radio outlet of some kind. And I'm like, why would I be? Look, I'm not on that level. I'm not competent enough to be on the radio. I don't have the speech to be on the radio. I don't have the eloquent, speech. Like I just stuttered right there. I stutter occasionally. I have speech impediments. I recognize these things. They're just part of my character. They're just part of who I am. Right? I've embraced them. And I think they add to my charm sometimes when I mispronounce things. Like the other day, for like a minute, I could not pronounce omnipotent. I can't just. What was the word? It wasn't omnipotent. It was omniscient. Right. It was omniscient. A word I definitely know. Right. But for like 30 seconds, I could not, for the life of me, pronounce omniscience. My brain shut down. Certain words, I can't do it. That would make for a lousy person on the radio. So I would never want to be on the radio. I never want to be on TV. I don't have the skill set. I don't have the aptitude. I don't have the desire. So though I appreciate people thinking that I could, I know that I could not. Fair enough. It's self-imposed limitation. I'm fine with that. I think we all have to know our limits. And if people want to think that we can go beyond our limits, I'm flattered. But I do think that the self-imposed limits we have are there for a reason, and they're not detrimental. I think we all as humans kind of go, okay, yeah, maybe at some point maybe we can extend past our limitations, but I don't think it's a bad thing to know where our limitations exist, right? It's not being, denigrating to ourselves. Hannah, Cirrus has a great radio voice. Yes, he does. And Cirrus is not the only one. We have a couple people that I think would make great radio host. Seriously, they just have a wonderful demeanor, wonderful cadence, and those things that they just seem to come naturally. Like, I have had to work at it. You guys can see over the period of the years that I've been on the internet, I've had changed from how I present myself when I first making videos to what I do now. There's been a huge change in many different facets, and there's been many reasons for that. I think we're constantly reinventing ourselves, and I think we're constantly refining ourselves. And then 5 years from now, it may be completely different, right? So I think that people that do it naturally, like Cirrus, just a natural at it, I think he'd be very good at it. Yes. And he's very smart. Dude is a lot smarter than I think people give him credit for. Radio is beginning to take a backseat to the internet, and that's probably true. I happen to have always liked the radio. I listened to Art Bell growing up. I listened to George Norrie. I built a crystal radio, and I would listen to it at night as a kid. KFI, I think, was the station, and it required no battery. It was just powered by radio waves. But the fact that I built it and it worked, I was like, this is great. And you couldn't hear very loud, but you can hear through an earpiece. But I have a face for radio. Yes, this is true. Let's see here. Coast to Coast was great. Yes. And our, we lost a great radio personality when Art Bell died, to say the least. He added so much to the nighttime radio programming, because when people would be driving, you would hear Coast to Coast on every fucking channel. Right? I mean, it doesn't matter where you go on the AM dial, you could hear it 5 or 6 times. And so no matter where you were, you got Coast to Coast. And even though I thought a lot of his guests were just boring or just crazy, batshit crazy, it was entertaining. So he was a master at being able to coax people to have a conversation from. And some of them, like I said, I just thought they were just out there, but for some reason you enjoyed listening to it. Right. And my only fault for Art Bell is that he never really, I think, pushed the guest hard enough. He never got to the crux of the matter. And it was always on a superficial level. And that really bugged me. I wish he would have dived deeper. So, okay. So anyways, we got to start ending this because we do have the show coming up. And in 10 minutes, I'm probably going to be starting up the Skype call for the Non Sequitur show. The Non Sequitur show tonight is going to be the mind experience. This gentleman is going to come on and try to do healing over Skype and explain maybe the heliocentric model. I'm not sure, but he is a heliocentrist. Should be interesting. So send your suggestions to live@nonsec.show.com if you want to see a guest on, if you want to have certain topics, live@nonsec.show.com. You can also reach me at Steve McCrae at nonsec.show.com. You can also reach me at Steve McCrae at greatdebatecommunity.com. And you can also reach me at Steve McCrae Steve Ask Anything at gmail.com. So any one of those. Now, I prefer if you message me at Steve McCrae at nonsec.show.com. It's in regards to the Non Sequitur show. Steve at greatdebatecommunity.com for things relating to the Great Debate Community, and Steve Ask Anything at gmail.com, which is my common one for anything else. And you can message me for the Non Sequitur show and the Great Debate Community as well. That's kind of my catch-all, but I want to keep those other emails specifically relating to what they're supposed to be, like Steve at greatdebatecommunity.com, which is nothing I've ever given out, by the way. That's the first time I've ever actually given out that email. So oh my God. So this was like 2 hours and I can't believe that I've talked so much. So hopefully I got something left for the Non Sequitur show, but we do appreciate your comments. We appreciate your fandom. I mean, it's just, I've never had a fans before. I don't know what to do with it. I have people messaging me going, Steve, I'm a huge fan. Even people that I have the utmost respect for, like Dr. Jones publicly said he's a huge fan of my channel. I love Dr. Jones, right? I mean, the guy is just one of the nicest, erudite people on the planet. I don't know who the hell is smarter than Dr. Jones when it comes to linguistics and just to be able to have communication. He's absolutely brilliant. And he likes my show. That's like the highest praise I can get. And he's offered for me to be on. And I can't. I'm just too afraid to be going on to the place or the New Covenant group. It's so out of my depth, but I'm flattered. I'm really flattered. Anyways. Yeah, I appreciate it, guys. I appreciate all your fandom, and I appreciate all your comments and everything you've done. The Patreon people have, I have like 38 patrons now just for this channel, and that's why I want to start giving more content to this channel by talking about the arguments and talking about the more deeper philosophical things, right? So on the Non Sequitur show, we'll have the guest, and it's very, tertiary type stuff or just superficial. I get that, and then when we want to have a more in-depth discussion on it, Kyle and I decided let's just have it on my channel. So I have a Patreon for this channel, which has been great. I appreciate it. Every dime, every dollar, every $5, $10, it adds up, and that pays my subsistence in life. Thank you. And then for the Non Sequitur show, that's a different Patreon, and that's for obviously the Non Sequitur show. So either or. Oh, by the way, Greg Bray will be on eventually. Greg Bray, nice guy on my Facebook. We talk all the time, so I want to get Greg Bray back on. He's been on this channel before. He will be back. So, all right. So with that, I'm going to end this. Thank you guys very much for watching this and the thumbs up and the links, the sharing the links and the likes. It means a lot. Thank you guys. And we'll see you on the Non Sequitur show.